Hi, I'm Eric Knowles, President of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and this is our Member Connection. But before we get started, a word from one of our supporters. Welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited today, I had to adjust my seat. I'm so excited. Mr. William Berry, how are you?
How you doing, Mr. Knowles? Glad to be here.
I'm excited, man.
All right, glad to be here.
Mr. Berry is the owner, the president, CEO, the man that started what is known as Able Business Services. And, to be in your presence, I mean, you're a legend in our community. But you do it on the low.
I'm very low key. I try to be. Definitely a recent.
Yeah. You do try to be, but
yeah, I try to be.
And you're one of the most humblest guys that I've ever met. And you do what you do. Like I said, you're a quiet storm.
I am.
And Able Business Service. Let's learn a little bit about Mr. Berry before you even started Able. Well, first of all, let me back up. Here we are in Miami-Dade College, and when you were coming in, we were talking about that, and you said you're here. It's a homecoming for you.
It is. Bring back a lot of memories, Eric. I started out here after high school in 1966. I went here for 2 years with an AA degree. Then I left Miami-Dade and went on to Fort Memorial College, where I got my bachelor's degree.
I didn't know that part either.
Yeah, that's where I got my bachelor's degree. Then I went from there to University of Mississippi, University of Southern Illinois for my graduate degree in rehabilitation counseling. So I did that in terms of my matriculation in education, I did that in the infancy years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And, when we were talking, I'm also a graduate of Miami-Dade. So I like you said, when you come here, it just brings back memories of being here and getting our degrees and our education, and now being here today. But Able Business Services, you do a lot. You're like an army.
Well, that's something I kind of got from my father.
Right.
My father, he was a hardworking person, and he had, because he had 7 kids, he had a lot of folks to feed.
Right.
So he had a landscaping company, he had a janitorial business that my mother and we all helped out, the siblings helped out. So there were a lot of things going on to put food on the table.
Right.
So I adopted that kind of philosophy to try to not just do one thing. So,
right.
And do all of them well. So that's kind of thing that I had philosophically wanted to do in terms of not just doing one thing that I would excel in.
Right. Well, it reminds me of, as I said, I worked for the Miami Dolphins for 15 years, and I worked for Wayne Huizenga. And Wayne Huizenga was that kind of guy. He did not just do one thing. He obviously Blockbuster Video, AutoNation, and Waste Management. He was the only person that took 3 businesses to Fortune 500.
Oh man.
And when I hear you in the multiplicity of things that you do, it reminds me of him. So let's talk about Able Business Services. How did you start?
Well, after I retired, I was head of vocational rehab, and I retired in 2000. I was the regional administrator. I was over the Miami Rehabilitation Office, and that program was designed to assist a person with visual disabilities for the most part. And after I retired, and after being in that field for 31 years, my philosophy and the thing that I wanted to do was create jobs for people. I was extremely good at what I did, but I was always on the other side of the table. So I said, only at 51, because when I finished college, I was only 16.
Oh
I was
wow.
high school 16, college at 21. So I had 31 years of service and was able to retire with the Department of Labor at only 51. So I had to find something to do. So my parents were successful in landscaping and janitorial and that kind of thing. So I said, well, let me try to excel in those fields.
Right.
And because of my background in rehabilitation, I thought I could marry the two.
Right.
So, and I was always the type of person that put his whole heart in everything I did. And and philosophically, in terms of my success, the success that I do feel I have achieved, what degree that is, the thing that drives me is hard work. I've I've always been a person who have always worked hard, and I do that mentally. But
Right.
in addition to that, you would not be surprised if you passed my building on 79th, see me out cutting the grass,
Right.
loading the truck.
Right.
That's how I am. I don't
Hands
see
on.
I don't see the differentiations between the jobs, and I kind of want to instill that in my employees as well. That it's no set things that you do and this person do,
It's,
and because that's
it's
my philosophy. We all, we as a team,
right.
and whatever
Exactly.
is required, we get it done.
Right. And obviously that comes from your parents. When I
That's right.
listen to what you were saying. Um, and that is quite a story in terms of the fact that, like you said, you retired at 51 and you're not one to sit around. And the other thing about that, as you said, you're a hard worker.
I'm an extremely
But,
hard worker.
but not only that you're a hard worker, you a smart worker, because you didn't just do this from working
No.
hard. You had to have the intelligence to put the pieces together. And those pieces are, again, Able Business Services. And well, how does that break down?
Well, you have to work hard, but you also have to have a strategy.
Okay.
And after retiring, I wanted to do something that, as I said, was in an area that I'm familiar with, that I knew I could excel in. So upon retirement, I engaged in learning the janitorial business
Okay.
from a vantage point where I could be successful in it, not just making a few dollars, but I bought a franchise, cost me like $15,000 just to learn the fundamentals of making monies, not just cleaning, but all the intricacies of measuring and the chemicals and the insurance and all the things that will be successful in business. I had to learn those things. I was in the social service arena before.
Right.
Now in the business arena, it's a whole different story. So I had to learn business in order to match my interests with my interest and aptitude. So after I got those things in place in purchasing that franchise, um, I went on and learned the skill sets that will make me successful in those fields, in the janitorial field, and it took off from there. And the second thing you asked me was what now?
Basically, you're doing multiplicity of things. You know, you
Well,
talk
let me
about
tell
that
you how things go.
janitorial.
Let me tell you how it go.
You talk
Let me
about the
tell you.
janitorial, but
Let
it's
me
so
tell you how
much
it go.
more to able business
I
services.
registered as a small business. I sought out your help, the Chamber of Commerce help. I sought out ISD help downtown, um, and the main program, the main job that I sought out was a landscaping contract,
Okay.
and that was the airport. It was a multi-million-dollar contract. It was like a $1.5 million contract each year for 5 years.
Okay.
Took a lot of pushing to get that contract, but I did get it, and did extremely well. I had to push to get it, and we'll talk about that later.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
but after that, I got a detailing contract
Okay.
with the Dade County Bus Terminal, and it's kind of like comports a little bit with my service-oriented philosophy in terms of what we were doing in landscaping. So it's kind of in the same ballpark in providing the service, and I had familiarity and some skill sets from my father having a landscaping business.
Right.
So after a year of being in business, I got the landscaping. Then after another year, I got, which is the largest landscaping contract in Miami-Dade County.
Wow.
Then I got the detailing contract, servicing all the Miami-Dade transit buses, which is the largest detailing contract in Dade County. That contract, I had to purchase a lot of chemicals, had a lot of nuances that I hadn't been familiar with. But one of the things that I saw was that they use a lot of chemicals.
Right.
And that's how I got into the chemical business. I'm
Hold
buying.
on. So, okay, so you're detailing the buses, and now I hear where you're going. And folks, you need to listen to this. Not only is he detailing, but what's the deal with the chemicals?
I make the chemicals.
he makes the chemicals. So talk about that.
I approached the company that I was purchasing these chemicals from. They were not too far from my office. My initial office was not too far from 79th Street. We were on 32nd and maybe 46th Street.
Okay.
And small office. And the company, I went to the owner, and they had basically 4 people in that company, 2 guys who were Northwestern graduates, and they were taught by a chemist how to make these chemicals. And Tony, extremely bright guy. His father was an accountant, and he is like he could know verbatim exactly everything that he needs to put in these chemicals to come up with at least 50 different chemicals, and it's all in his head.
Wow.
Of course, I made him put it in writing, but we were able to, at that point, start our production, and we make about 50 different chemicals, everything from car shine to wheel well to the greases, about 4 different greases. The greases, we have 2 greases that's certified FMPA, that's certified to go into the school system. We make stuff to clean concrete, and we shipping with this other entity a lot of chemicals out, pallets of chemicals.
Wow.
We have a $1 million contract with Miami-Dade County to provide them with the greaser that they use to clean their shops at night in the bus terminals, and to, I guess, clean up their parts, mechanical parts that might have a lot of grease.
Right.
And whenever I introduce our degreaser to any entity, a mechanical shop, and I always take a gallon in my car, I give them the test. I let them test it.
Right.
And when they test, they sold.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the one thing, obviously, how many years have you been in business now?
22.
22 years. And obviously, the last couple of years have been challenging for many companies. Many businesses went out of business during the pandemic. And we say we're post-pandemic, but we're kind of still, lingering. The pandemic still lingers on a bit.
Yeah, it is.
And how were you able to pivot and keep business going?
Well, I didn't pivot from, I pivot to.
Okay.
I got my company certified as a hazardous waste cleanup company. I flew in a certified instructor from the University of, I think, North Carolina, and she certified about 10 of my 15 of my employees to do hazardous waste cleanup. It
Okay.
was like a 2-week course, and the pandemic started. So we were trained, we were ready, and so we were able to provide that service for the county, for the city, funeral homes, anyone that requires sanitizing and COVID eradication, the school system. We were able to do it in short order. We had the people, we had the know-how. So the detriment, the downside is that, you have the stigma of people trying to make a living at the same time. You have to deal with a threat that's going to take your life if you don't have the proper P's, if you're careless and not protect yourself. And we did have a couple of people to die, not
Wow.
to our negligence, but this person just didn't do what he should have done.
Right.
And we do have courses that we train our people on, and we constantly retraining our people on in terms of how to protect themselves. But it was a challenge. Our equipment costs, our supply costs went up.
Right.
It kind of tripled, and the I would say even we were able to sustain that, but being that you have a lot of contract where you locked into a certain amount of money,
Right.
you can't renegotiate the contract. You still have to provide the service. So if you are to service a contract, you still have to do the supplies. My supply costs went up from like $20,000 a year to $40,000 a year.
Right.
But you have to do what you have to do to make sure your customers being attended to.
So
That was the important thing, attending to our customers.
absolutely. And you do an amazing job of that. Our time is running short.
Okay.
If someone wants to get in touch with Able Business Services, how can they do that?
My name is William Berry, as you said. My company is located at 1234 Northwest 79th Street, Miami, Florida, 33147. My office number is 305-636-5099. My cell, and I'm going to throw that out there too. I take a lot of personal numbers, 786-291-6686.
Well, Mr. Berry, I truly appreciate it. Also wanted to just say this is Black History Month, and you're talking about history. This is history right here. A gentleman that has taken something from nothing and has built an amazing business. And he didn't even talk about his propane business. But anyway, I just want to thank you for joining
The
us.
electrical car business that we're going to start.
Right. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. Contact the chamber at m-dcc.org or call the chamber at 305-751-8648. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you all for having me.
Today, I stand before you, a proud graduate of Miami-Dade College and the 5th president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I'm honored to return to the college that prepared me to become a leader in our community, providing an education second to none. So I'm asking you to please tune in every Monday at 12 noon to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection as I interview members of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce on our Facebook page at Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce or our YouTube channel, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. To learn more about the Chamber, please go to m-dcc.org or call the Chamber at 305-751-8648.